Cool. All right. Hello everyone. My name's Tori Dory. I'm here with Simcoff. How you doing, bro?
G'day, man. Pretty
Re-
excited.
Ready to cast some games?
Yes, some pre-Paris top 60, top 32 action.
Top 32. Yeah. So we've actually got a crab mirror, which is not for the faint of heart.
No, I think that it's going to be quite the grind fest, and I'm just if we can, I guess you're going to bring up both decks. At the moment,
So we've
but,
got Jokingly's deck here first. This is kind of a special twist on crab. I mean, he's playing Lion Splash, so this is kind of uncommon.
playing Lion Splash, planning to lose military conflicts. It looks like with the inclusion of the Vengeful Oathkeeper.
And 3 Ageless Crones. Like that, I like that. It's pretty good against heavy event decks like Crane and Scorpion, which can sometimes be a trick for crab.
And I think the ready for battles again very strong versus Scorpion decks and Crane decks with the admin defeats for Shames, Muramoto's Furies, etc.
Yep.
But how do you think? What sort of battle effects do apart from the Ring of Water?
Crab really don't have any. The card's going to be largely dead. I guess Fate Worse Than Death. It can cancel the bow from a Fate Worse Than Death. P Mittens in chat says Crab. He predicts Crab will win. Yeah, good one, bro. All right, so we're gonna go full screen here. It looks like Csonti has won the toss. Otherwise, he probably would have. Jokingly, probably would have elected to go second.
Yeah. Have you put the Csonti's deck up?
Yeah. I've just had a brief look at it. It's Scorp Splash, and he's got Calling in Favors, Fate Worse Than Death, and Meek Inform. It's a pretty strong suite of Splash there. Just trying to see if there's anything interesting about these decks.
Sneaks. Goblin Sneaks are included.
Yeah.
What interesting things can Csonti do with Goblin Sneaks?
Man, only one mountain does not fall as well. So actually both decks are only running one.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, okay. Alright, so we've seen Steadfast Witch Hunter come out for Jokingly. Always a good person. We didn't so just to,
do you play Way of the Crab?
Just thinking, is this gonna be an embarrassment?
Well, he's got the Iron Mine.
He does have the Iron Mine.
It's still not ideal though. You don't want to spend it. You don't want to spend it here, I don't think.
No, but okay. So the Iron Mine, obviously no Way of the Crab in hand. I think you play, if you do have Way of the Crab, you play it anyway, right? Get rid of one of those Iron Mines. Or not necessarily.
Well, at this stage, Jokingly's going to get Passing Fate anyway, right? So, okay, so they've skipped ahead. Jokingly's passed, and so too has Csonti. And they've just gone for bids of 5 each.
Double 5.
Yep.
Yeah.
No big surprises.
No, that seems to be pretty standard these days, doesn't it? For
Yeah.
the vast majority of decks. I guess there's a few specific decks that don't, but certainly in Dragon and Crab and Scorpion, 5's pretty Crane, pretty stock standard.
Alright, so first
Skirmish
action.
comes
Yep.
down?
This card's just amazing, right? Like in any. P Mittens reckons a charged Casada might happen. I reckon so too. But in anytime you're considering Crab as a splash, this is one of the cards that comes up pretty frequently. I think the Haruma Skirmisher for 2 influence is pretty good.
Yeah, we may see a face plant into a fate worse than death, followed by a void ring from the Caillou Envoy though. So that might happen.
Fate Worse Than Death's actually quite effective against Steadfast, even despite the ready for battle because of the blanking part of it.
Yeah. The blank is the is very key. So because that Haruma Skirmisher can do so much work otherwise, because it doubles as its covert plus it stands up the Steadfast.
Yeah. What do you make of this decision to only send the Skirmisher in to this conflict? He just wants to have the Steadfast ready to defend and then counterpunch?
Well, I think there's 2 things. One, he's probably scared of a Fate Worse Than Death. But I'm just trying to think, like, what sort of province, if I'm looking at Csonti's provinces here, what is he scared of? Because, I mean, like, I'm looking Manicured Gardens, Defend the Wall, Meditations of the Tao, Shameful Display, Rally to the Cause. Maybe Rally is kind of scary, but probably not.
Meditations isn't great, but yeah, you're right. I think Shameful's probably the worst, and it's not even that big of a deal.
Yeah.
I think in this particular matchup, this mirror, generally the games take a little while, and so you're trying to develop a longer range strategy. Generally, I would say, getting early breaks is good, but in a timeless format like this, it's more important to just build advantage. Okay, so Csonti has taken Jokingly's last fate, which could play a role here.
Well, I mean,
and there's a charge.
It's a charge with Casada, no surprise. I guess maybe that's what he was expecting.
Now the question is, do you... Jokingly has passed, right? So his next action will get cancelled this conflict. Do you send Casada away and use him to try and break a province on attack with the favourable? Knowing that if he tries to play a bonsai on the skirmisher or so on, it's going to get cancelled by Casada.
Absolutely think so. I think favourable grounds 100% in the plan here.
Yep. So there is the shameful, which is going to reduce skirmisher skill to 0.
Yeah.
This is a pretty good opening for the for Csonti, I think.
Yep.
So he's going to have to spend at least 2 actions here, and with no fate, I just don't see that being a possibility.
So I think oh, okay.
There's a bonsai. I mean, what else is there then? A chart? I mean, he's got no fate. I'm just looking at his deck.
Do you think that Jokingly didn't realize that the action was going to get cancelled because of the pass?
Possibly, yeah. Well, given that he's then immediately passed, I would say almost certainly that's the case.
Almost certainly, just missed that interaction. It's a little bit subtle.
Which is kind of a shame.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys watching? How's the audio in... how's my balance with my co-caster Simcoff? Is it alright? We were trying to work it out before the game. Both these... I think Jokingly, he's been a finalist in the Discord Cup before. I'm pretty sure he's one of the... Yeah, he's a great player. I don't know much about the opponent, but anyone who makes it to the top 32 is usually pretty talented.
Yeah, and I think as well, because Jigoku offers you all of these little triggers and it kind of prompts you for a lot of things, is it means that there's definitely UI mistakes made all the time, but it's the very good players who are spending their time concentrating, they do absolutely rise. The cream does rise to the top in this sort of format. It's a bit harder to wing your way through it.
I completely agree. And I also think just the volume of games that you can get online in these online formats. It's like playing online poker versus live. There are guys who've played 10 million hands that you just couldn't physically play live, you know? Same sort of principle. So we've got an Earth conflict. This is not that surprising given they've both got keepers in the row. And he's going for the Iron Mine, which is pretty... I mean, anytime you see that in a province that isn't broken, you want to go break it. That's like your first point of call, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so Jokingly has spent his stronghold. Either he's got an action to play or he's feigning an action. And then we've got a bonsai on Casada. So Casada's gone up to 11, and then the fertile fields.
Yeah.
I think this Lion Splash is one of these splashes that's going to help him in the Scorpion matchup. But against this particular mirror, it's going to hurt him a bit. So it's going to be one of these things where if he can get through this match, this is going to be the bad matchup, you know, going forward.
Yeah, so whoever wins this plays the winner of Neff and Fleeper, and Neff is playing Crane and Fleeper is playing Phoenix. So I think that they're ready for battle will be quite useful against Crane. Yeah,
it's going to kill and it's going to be good against Phoenix too if he decides to use against the waves offensively. It's going to kill that option.
True, with Steadfast, because against the waves quite often used now these days against Crab to bow the Steadfast Witch Hunter.
Absolutely. So he's readied the Witch Hunter, so he wants to come in for a political conflict.
Right.
What ring are we going to see here? Perhaps Void. Yep.
And is this, if you've got Fate Worse Than Death in your hand, you've got 4 Fate showing here, is that going to be action 1, or is there a few other things you can do first to try and use your stronghold, try and get Jokingly to waste some of his resources first?
I think if you have the Fate Worse Than Death, you just don't defend. You play the Fate Worse Than Death, knowing that he has no Fate in reserves, and then you just go and claim Void yourself and just wipe his board.
Yeah.
Which at that point, it would be pretty much game over. So given that he's thrown Keeper Initiate in front, I suspect he does not have that card.
So the point being of not defending is so that the Void Ring can go back into the middle, right? By defending.
Yes. So you have access to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's defended with both, and he's used the Stronghold.
Yeah. So he's going to try and do this the old-fashioned way.
This is one way to get around Kisada, is you play an attachment, because it's not an action, so...
Yep.
It's not an action ability. This is why stuff like fans and katanas will be around for a long, long time, I think. I overheard some people in the Discord League chat talking about them comparing it to, like, say, Magic the Gathering, and, like, you know, just cheap +2 cards never get played. And they were saying how eventually in L5R, reasoning would suggest that they'll eventually fade as well. But it's a little different in this game, I think. The economy is a little more... It's a little more tight because you get the same amount every turn. So it's just going to be a pass. Court games into a pass. So he's actually successfully defended that.
So Csonti has had a pretty damn good first turn.
Yeah.
Now we're going to see a restoration.
Okay, we get to have a look at the hand here.
Okay, it's not over yet.
Bonsai, Ageless Crone, Reprieve, Mountain, Watch Commander, Reprieve. So many of these cards cost Fate. So that Goblin Sneak taking the last Fate away from Jokingly was actually quite impactful.
So what ring are we thinking here? Are we going Fire? Or are we going... I think...
Probably just going to go Air. Yeah.
Matching the muchness, right? I mean, we're stealing an honor, right? Just to kind of put a little
stealing
bit
an honor, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, but that's more about the longer term view. Stealing honor doesn't do a lot right now, but you know, removing 2 honor from him.
And Hida Kisada has just done so much work this turn. He's cancelled a Stronghold, he's cancelled a Bonsai, and he's cancelled a Meditations. And now the Reprieve's hitting the table. This is the point in the game where I'm just spewing, especially because one of those cards getting cancelled was actually just a complete error. Which is kind of rough.
The Bonsai could be putting poor Jokingly on tilt.
Yeah.
Man, that's a strong wall. But I guess like Crab are good at defending, and I'm sure Jokingly's gonna dig in this turn.
Yeah, well, that's like, the thing. I think in this matchup, it's really all about timing. It's like, does Csonti flip his saves? And so far, he hasn't. Right? He hasn't got the reprieves. He hasn't got the yeah. So, or the what's a vengeful? What is it? Vengeful. I can't remember the name of the card. The 2-drop that sacks himself.
Vengeful Oathkeeper.
Okay. So Shrudisuki.
Yep.
No surprises there. Borderlands Defender is another card that's been increasing in popularity just because of the strength of Crane and Scorp. I think it's very good in those matchups.
I think this is going to be a very difficult turn for Jokingly.
Yeah, you're sort of facing down a wall.
The fact that Csonti's going first as well, meaning that he's going to be able to just smash in with Kisada is just overwhelming pressure. Like, Csonti gets to choose the tempo that this turn's going to take. Yeah,
and with that Karada District having hit, it's really rough for Jokingly. He can't play his Watch Commander, he can't play his Reprieve. If you play them and that's in play, you pretty much just auto-lose the game, I think.
Yeah, so you're never activating the Karada District until one of those key attachments hits the table, right? There's no point grabbing the fan.
Yeah, I think that's correct. Vanguard Warrior. Thanks, P. Mittens. I've completely forgot.
Why am I thinking of Oath?
That's because that's the Lion Splash card that Jokingly's running.
Yes, of course. Vanguard Warrior.
Yeah, it's a great card. So who's hyped about Paris? Are you guys all going to watch the finals tonight? I'm a complete fiend, so I'm going to stay up for it. Probably finish like 2-3 a.m. here.
Yeah.
Tristan Wolf saying hello. What's up, bro? I watched your stream the other day. It was good. Actually, I was playing on your stream. It was the Crane versus Crab game. The rough thing about this, right, is that you would say Csonti has got superior board position, especially if he can manage to keep Quesada around with a reprieve or the like. And he's also got a huge fade edge.
Yep.
Which is just vile. When you've got a huge fate and board edge, and the hands are roughly the same, 7 to 8.
Jokingly's also got no good, like, even with that one fade, if there's no good charge targets in case he's picked up a charge. Well, there's no charge targets at all.
Yeah.
I mean, at least the Borderlands is going to stick around to make a token defense effort, but it seems like it's going to be very difficult for Jokingly to win any conflicts at all this turn.
I agree. So we're going to see an Earth Ring to deny, or what are you expecting here? Maybe Fire's also good because it's got a fate. Deny your opponent that second fate.
Void's pretty good here to just
keep putting the pressure on.
Put the pressure on that Steadfast, because that Steadfast is kind of your major issue at the moment.
Yeah.
But again, like, Jokingly's hand that we've seen has a lot of gold in it, so attacking it with the Earth is I wouldn't say that would be a bad idea.
Well, right now, Reprieve and Watch Commander are completely dead cards. He had 2 Reprieves and a Watch Commander. They're just dead. You can't play them. And he's got a Crone and a Mount Doesn't Fall. And just to recap, the bids this turn was 2 to 3, so they didn't draw a lot of cards this turn. Oh man, is this this is fuck, dude.
I think Jokingly's gone. He's got so many good attachments in his hand. He's just got to try and find a way for Csonti to lose that.
Oh, but he's got no fate.
Oh no. So, so it means that he's going to have to look at taking that firing, right? Like, as his first conflict.
Yes. Well, yeah. I mean,
he wants to do anything else this turn.
I think playing Watch Commander at this point is just suicide, and not playing it, you're slipping behind. So it's kind of very, very tough.
Just a really, really tough opening turn for Jokingly.
Yeah.
Which has led to this sort of horrible game state at the moment.
I'm pretty sure Jokingly actually made it to the top 2 in one of these leagues. He's a very good player. I think I played 1 or 2 games with him. Did you hear about what happened to the Shogun at Paris, Ben?
No, what happened to the Shogun at Paris, Bert?
He was 1 and 2 going into round 4, and he was on stream, and apparently he activated Fertile Fields an additional time in a turn.
Oh, did he get DQ'd?
Well, they didn't catch it until afterwards. I think it was, once again, the English stream, Mine's Desire, the restream, they notified the Paris guys. And the decision was after the game had completed, and he completely trounced the other guy, right? Like, he was beating him anyway. So he wasn't cheating to get, like, I think it was unintentional. Even if just because of the way the game was going up until that point, it was just a beatdown, right? So they actually gave him a game loss for it, and then he just dropped the tournament.
Wow.
I think game loss is pretty harsh if you're already smashing.
Yeah, but there is something. I agree that it's pretty harsh, but there is something to be said at those grand kotes or big kotes, those big events, and trying to keep it a bit pure, and like, no cheating.
Yeah, I feel that.
But it wasn't the thing. I feel like what should have happened is if it gets caught at the time. I mean, it is like a clear violation of the rules using fertile fields twice, but yeah,
They say in the rules, though, it actually specifies that it's the responsibility of both players to maintain a legal game state. And so, unless you can prove malice, unless you can prove intent...
Which it sounds like there wasn't.
It's hard to prove either way. That is a really grey area. But,
yeah.
It's kind of like... The guy was already getting pumped. I don't know. Anyway, so that's what happened to him. So he's out. I think the best line finished 37th, which was like 7 places above the best unicorn. Which I'm not surprised. Some of the guys in Lion chat were kind of spewing about it, but I'm like, it kind of makes sense, man. Like, you have 7 rounds and you've got a high variance clan. Like, these things happen. Yeah. You're not going to win.
So whilst we've been chin-wagging here, the meditations did break.
Okay, so I noticed there that he defended with 2 characters, played the Watch Commander, used his Stronghold to cancel Quesada, and then just ducked away with the favourable ground, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't really understand the decision-making.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I think if I'm Jokingly, I'm on tilt at this point.
Yep. I've been there. We've all been there.
Yeah.
Make a few mistakes. I think that Bunzai is just probably put him in the wrong headspace.
Yep.
Yes, I was looking last season. Jokingly, he went top 64, but I think that was season 3. I don't have access to season 2. Oh, here we go. Let's look at season 2. But I think in season 2 he did very. I seem to recall he did really well.
I remember him having a deep run. Yeah.
Well, he's definitely. Yeah, here we go. So jokingly made it all the way to top 8 in season 2, and he bat. Yeah, and to be fair, the person that he lost to was Sir Largeness, and Sir Largeness, I think, ended up winning. So
I think that was the first season where he was playing that Fate Worse Than Death disgusting beast.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
He went real deep.
Is the reasoning behind playing the Watch Commander now to try and goad out the Karada so you can then play the Reprieve later and save your guy? That's the only reasoning I can think about it.
Yeah, it's the only one. He's trying to force him to play it now, which I don't. I mean, if I'm in Kusonte's spot, I'm like, those attachments are leaving at the end of the turn anyway. There's no reason for me.
Yeah, you just wait for Reprieve.
You chill out. You just chill out and you wait. As soon as the Reprieve hits the table, but at the moment, like, those attachments are never going to be a problem for Kusonte again, unless a rebuild into an Iron Mine or something. Yeah, like
it's gonna have to be a rebuild.
Yeah, rebuild into an Iron Mine is
and you just pray to God that Sassanti hasn't seen his own second Reprieve, because that would. I think jokingly is counting on this turn to be a bit of a board wipe, and if it doesn't happen, it's going to be really, really hard.
Yep. He's thinking, all right, let's just get through this turn, reset, and then tomorrow is another day.
And the worst part about that conflict was he went in for fire against Defend the Wall, and then he's had his own Borderlands Defender Dishonored, so...
Oh, God. Horrible.
Hey, Joe, what's going on, man? Joe from Cincinnati says Karada District is the defining card in the Crab Mirror. Well, I don't have as much experience as you do, so I'll take your word for it, but my intuition is that that's true. It's really hard to get rid of, and then if you do get rid of it, you can throw a lot to get rid of it, and they can just rebuild it. When you're playing Crab Mirrors, are you hard mulliganing for Satoshi to go and fetch that, or what do you do? Okay, so he's hit his own Defend the Wall. So this is a little bit of good fortune for jokingly.
Yeah, and he does need that honor as well.
So jokingly, he's got a military conflict remaining. Right now, is he thinking, do I risk assigning the Borderlands Defender?
I feel like he's just defending hard here, right? Like, you really want to win this conflict.
Yeah, I think you're defending hard, and you're praying that he doesn't have the Reprieve.
There's a greedy part of your brain trying to work out how you can take down his Karada District on the Defend the Wall. But
yeah,
I think that might be a bit greedy. I think that's it's probably the wall's a little bit too high for that defender to scale.
Are you worried about going in for a conflict here? Because charge Satoshi is not great for you. Fills up his discard.
Yeah, it's all bad. Oh, apparently the bottom of your torso is covering up the bottom of the player's fate and honor, Mr. Toridori.
Joe's saying in the Crab Mirror you mulligan everything that isn't Satoshi or Karada.
Right, they're your targets.
Oh, my torso is covering up honor and fate. Sorry about that. I'm going to move myself. They've just changed the Here we go.
Yep.
That should fix it.
Okay, another Goblin Snake. Well, 8 Goblin Snakes. Let's come down.
Goblin Snake's seen a bit of a resurgence, and I do like the card.
I would less say a resurgence, and I would say a surgence. It hasn't really surged.
A surgence?
A surgence. Yeah, it's cool that people are playing it. And I've seen obviously the in Lion using the some Lion tricks.
I love that
Gunso
combo
as well.
That combo just gives me butterflies when I see it go off.
Legion of One. All right. So this is some heavy conflict characters coming down now. Just, two fate.
Two fate seems ambitious. Like, I'm playing... If I've got assassination, I'm playing it, if I'm jokingly.
He's running 2. He's got 2 assassinations, so that is possible.
2 seems like the right number.
Yeah.
3 is... I don't begrudge people for playing 3, especially if you're going to bid lower as well.
Okay. So this could go very poorly for Jokingly, right? With a reverse Earth Ring.
Well, he's already... I believe he's already used the trigger this turn, so he won't cop the Earth.
All right, yeah, of course, yeah.
But if he manages to win on defense, he'll still get the Keeper and the Fate from the Keeper of Earth. So it's not great.
One on defense.
And he does actually get it. So I believe... Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Jokingly has only won 1 conflict.
Yeah.
And that was on defense this turn.
There's no Keepers. Yeah. Oh, yeah, there is, yeah. He's put his Keeper into play.
I think at this point... I mean, I hate to call games on turn 2, but... It was just that first turn, wasn't it? Charge Quesada is such a huge variance swing.
Charge Quesada into Reprieve. Like, once you've got the save train going, which Csonti almost, or at least he had the first station.
Yeah.
Looks like, yeah.
And then seeing his hand with the Meek Informant, and then flopping, seeing 2 Reprieves, and then flopping Karada the next turn is like, that is, as they say about Lion players, that is high rolling.
So what was quite brutal there was the rebuild was played. Well, what's been a nice saving grace for Jokingly is the rebuild has been played.
Yep.
And Karada District has been utilized.
So that's interesting that he puts the Watch Commander. At least Quesada's fucking off this turn, right?
Yeah. So now Jokingly is going first, and as long as there's not a disastrous Dynasty flop, he's got the fate, he's got the tempo, the momentum to go forward now, and he'll hopefully be able to set the pace. I guess Dynasty depending, but
I don't. What do you think about this decision to keep the Funeral Pyre? Oh no, he's still deciding. I think he has the option now.
Yeah, I think you got to flick it because who are you sacrificing to that Funeral Pyre, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you also, and I think what's also very important is
he's kept it.
Flip something.
That's crazy to me.
A Vanguard and Steadfast are pretty good. That's good news.
Yeah, and with the Karada already being on the table, Satoshi kind of loses a lot of his benefit for Csonti, so flipping another Satoshi really isn't great. He has elected to go for him anyway. Still a good political skill. Yeah, like exploiting his opponent's dearth of political skill. It's pretty nice.
And there's 3 policy debates that Csonti is running.
He's running 3. That's gross.
Yeah, 3 policy debates. Oh dear.
So if I'm jokingly, what I'm looking for here is conflict characters, so I can use them in a conflict and then sack them to the Witch Hunter and still use my Vanguard Warrior.
Yeah. Now, what about if you're Csonti? You've had 2 really good turns here, and it's looking like Jokingly's now. He's got a board where you can actually start to see an evolution. You can start to see, a few turns. He's got his Vanguard. Steadfast is going to be around for a while. What's your objectives as Csonti this turn?
I think you want to clear off the fate of the Borderlands Defender if you can. So Void Ring's a premium. I think you also want to deny the Earth Ring. I think it's also important to recognize it's unlikely you're going to take a province this turn, so just go for ring effects. Maybe just focus on defending, keeping Karada in play. You also want to get your Suki off. I think you can kind of slow down a little bit this turn and kind of just ride the edge you've built a little bit.
Yeah, so you do have to change gears, right? Like you were very aggressive on turn 1 and 2, but this turn here you have to kind of stage, you just keep your expectations in check.
Now the exception to that is if he's got a charge, then he can put in Crisis Breaker, and then you've got a pretty big. You got the Stoic Gunzo who's going to make your opponent lose honor, and Crisis Breaker and a military conflict say that would be pretty big.
I think after watching and playing a lot of Scorpion and Crane games, and and Phoenix with their censures, it's quite nice to watch this game where no one's playing. I guess ready for battle is kind of a cancel, but there's very little cancel in these decks, so what you can be sure is when you play your action, you know what it's going to do.
Yes, yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of it's a different sort of skill. I mean, accounting for cancels is a skill in and of itself, but sort of implementing optimal strategy given that there are no cancels is also a skill.
Oh, absolutely, and I think sequencing is so important in this sort of game.
Yeah, and doing stuff like playing a bonsai for it to get cancelled and then passing. I mean, that in a normal game costs you. In this game, costs you even more, I think.
Yeah.
And in the mirror, the edge is all in either deck matchup, deck construction, or your piloting skill. And if you give away something like that in a mirror match, it's even more impactful than in, say, just a regular game against a different clan, I think. Okay, so we're seeing a military water conflict from Jokingly.
There's something subtle here, which is that, and I think there's a good reason for this. With open deck lists, Jokingly knows there's 3 policy debates out there. I think by not activating the Imperial Storehouse, and to a lesser extent the Pyre, but the Storehouse now, if there is, I think you kind of go, you know what, Csonti's got at least one policy debate in his hand. Is that way at least with policy debate, one of the biggest advantages is you get to see the opponent's hand, right? So at least this way, there's still some hidden information if he activates the Storehouse after the policy debate.
Yep, I'm with you. I also think that it's easier to keep Imperial Storehouse if you've got a skirmisher like he did. And there's the policy debate, so great call. So it's going to be 4 against 1. A typical policy debate. Typical policy debate discrepancy. And we see his hand again. This is the second time.
Although Csonti has generously given an honour to Jokingly.
Yeah, so the 2 bid was just to guarantee at least a draw, right?
Yep.
Yep. Okay, so we're seeing Ready for Battle, which is kind of dead in this matchup. Reprieves, which are dead at the moment.
I still think that Reprieve's a card to take. Like, if you think about the longer term game, like, those Reprieves can, they're the difference between a key character staying around for a turn and, Crab versus Crab in a timeless format is, I don't know, I still think Reprieves...
They're very important. It's about whether or not you have rebuild in your hand yourself to guarantee Karada stays around, even if he overcommits for the province. Maybe you take the Bonsai. Okay, he does listen to you. He takes Reprieve. I maybe would have taken Bonsai.
Bonsai's a good choice too. I mean, that's Bonsai.
Those are
I
the
think
two.
Is the here and now choice.
Yeah,
because Bonsai is a high impact event.
Mountain is okay as well. Not too bad to take.
Yeah.
Maybe Mountain was the right call. That's pretty close. So I'm just reading chat. Joe from Cincinnati reckons, he doesn't like the Funeral Pyre. Keeping the Funeral Pyre. I'm with you, man. I think that card is good for like a one and done. You keep it for one turn, use it once. It's like a pseudo Imperial Storehouse. Very occasionally you might have it multiple turns. So there's the Crone.
I guess Skirmisher gets a secondary purpose. It's sacrificed to the Funeral Pyre or Crone.
Yeah, so you're sacking one to the Pyre and one to the... Or maybe potentially both to Witch Hunters just to ready your army.
These Crones... Do you think that these Crones are chosen specifically to meta against the Crane and Scorpion matchups? Like, is that what they're there for?
Yes, and I think they can also fuck line a little bit too. But yes, I think it's mainly Scorpion and Crane.
Yeah.
They don't really do anything against Dragon.
Storms. Yeah, against those Yoshi Storms, it's pretty nasty. This version of Crab that he's playing against, though, like Csonti is running 24 events, so it's pretty decent. Like, it has decent impact here. Like, for example, Fate Worse Than Death can't be played here, whilst the Crone's in play.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Also, cards like Assassination suddenly get very expensive. But the problem is with the Crone play at this turn is that Csonti's already built up a Fate edge. It's really like these crab on crab mirrors really feel like an economics problem. you know? Because both decks are super efficient at keeping guys in play and keeping their, you know... It's kind of interesting which rings start to take precedent over others and stuff.
Yeah, I think that air and earth. I mean, earth's always obviously is always very, very key in the matchup, but I feel like you might see air starting to be claimed a lot more than in other matchups because it is equivalent. It is essentially cards.
Yep. Okay, so he's gone for water, which largely because there was a fate there, I'm sure. And he's Bow to Keeper. I think the Keeper was defending though, yeah. Oh no, he wasn't defending, so he was bad.
The crone has been sacrificed to stand up.
Good job, crone.
You will be remembered in the Hall of Ancestors. Well, probably not actually.
Joe's saying that jokingly built the deck specifically for Scorpion, but it has a distinct disadvantage in the mirror. Yeah, I think that's fair. The Ready for Battle gives you nothing, as we discussed pre-game in this matchup, apart from Watering, which is really not going to be a big deal. And the Crones aren't that useful either. So he's kind of just trying to he needs to get out of this game. That's what he needs.
He needs to get out of this game.
Yeah. He needs to sneak. He needs to clutch victory from the jaws of defeat. One advantage he's got going is Honor. He is up by 5, which is something that does come into play in this mirror.
I do like Csonti's choice of splashing some very defensive Scorpion cards in his deck. I think he's made some pretty cool choices, like 2 Calling in Favors plus Karate District. You know, that's pretty decent in a mirror versus Crab. This is pretty good versus Dragon. Like I think Csonti's made some pretty good choices too, given the current meta. Probably still might struggle a bit against Scorpion though.
Yeah, I think the Scorpion Splash doesn't actually help you that much against Scorpion, but it does help you crush other crabs and like Dragon. It really hurts Dragon a lot, right? So like if you're waiting the Dragon matchup, you go for the Scorp Splash. But if you really if you feel like you can only win the tournament if you can beat Scorp, you go for something like Jokingly's done, something experimental like a Lion Splash or Crane Splash.
Yeah, and Jokingly did toast Nostrid, who was playing Scorpion in the previous match.
Oh, I didn't see that game.
That's cool. He's round of 64. Yeah. So I'm sure that those cards came in handy there. And Csonti beat a Phoenix.
Okay, so the Phoenix Crab matchup's kind of interesting. It can blow out in the Crab's favor turn 1 a lot, but if the game goes a while, it gets pretty curious. It's cards like Way of the Crab kind of sway the game. Do you know how many Funeral Pyres Jokingly's playing? I don't have his deck in front of me. I can look it up actually.
Yeah. So he's got just one pyre, single pyre.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
He's got quite a collection of holdings he's put together here. So he's got 1 Favourable Ground, 1 Funeral Pyre, 1 Imperial Storehouse, 1 Karate District, 1 Imperial Palace, and 3 Iron Mines.
Interesting. Do you think the Imperial Palace does much for you in Crab? I haven't played enough of it in the Crab deck to know, but
I think it's decent versus Crane. I think it can sometimes deny the favor versus Crane. But I think it's pretty useless versus Phoenix. Like I don't think if you think about, I feel like what you're really trying to do is you want the favor because you're trying to stop Sumiko, trying to stop Yoshi, trying to stop Ujiaki. But I'm not sure it's very effective at stealing the favor away from Lion, just because they go so wide and they've got people with decent glory. So I don't know. I'm not sure that it's necessarily the bee's knees.
Okay, so we've seen the 4th skirmisher of the match, and he's coverting this Borderlands defender, which is pretty smart. This is going to turn on Fate Worse Than Death, because Fate Worse Than Death can be played against Borderlands defender, but it loses half of its effects.
1 Fate will prevent the Fate Worse Than Death being played this turn.
Oh yeah, you're right, of course.
And Jokingly's out of Fate.
Yeah, so he's stolen the last fate. So that's second time in this match where Csonti has played Goblin Sneak when jokingly has had just the one fate left. That feels bad, man. That feels fucking strong.
I think Goblin Sneak, in this scenario, it's actually really, really strong because, I mean, obviously there's a Karate District out, but preventing playing, reprieves is very, very potent. And I feel like Jokingly's deck has been hand-lovingly crafted for its fate management, and something like Goblin Sneak really does screw with that plan.
Crab's probably got the second most fate-hungry conflict deck behind Dragon, I would say.
Yeah.
And maybe Scorp. Scorp's pretty fate-hungry too.
Not for sure.
Okay, so he's elected to go back to defend the wall. He thinks he can win the conflict regardless. I guess he wants to avoid the Void Province, right?
Yes.
Guys in chat are saying it's just for denial against Crane, Lion, Phoenix, and Scorp and Dragon. Yeah, I understand it. I mean, it's pretty good with rebuild as well. You can kind of like, it counts as like a pseudo +2 in a conflict if you need it. I don't mind it. I just don't. I think it maybe makes your own strategy a little less pointed. Okay, so it's gonna be Military Void. Void has been a premium ring in this matchup, understandably.
Oh yeah.
And now it lies on Jokingly to decide who to defend with. So he's actually swapped who he's coverted. He's gone for the Witch Hunter.
Okay. So there's probably worth noting the hand sizes. We've got a hand size parity. Jokingly's got a decent honor lead, which is something. Not enough to press any major advantages over, but if it's a trend, it could matter in terms.
I think it's something, and it's something you need to cling on, right? Yeah. Like he's got a victory condition there eventually, if he manages to continue. Okay, so first action, Stronghold. So he takes the lead.
Yeah, I like that.
He's going to have to play a Bonsai, though, because Gunzo is just going to nuke that Keeper Initiate.
Yeah.
And he does just that, so he's up to 9.
Yep.
At this point, if you don't have a buff, you're probably just going to pop the Storehouse, see what you can pull.
Yeah, and also, if you potentially... Also, you know...
There's the Bonsai.
Higher there too.
Okay. So the Imperial Palace, just going back to that quickly, the benefits only work against favor-hungry clans if they also don't have their palace in play, right? So I guess it's kind of like a... it's only going to happen in like half the games you play against that clan.
Yeah, and I think some of the time, like, against Phoenix, having a palace is not enough.
Like, I'm just wondering, is it worth it, or would I rather have another favorable ground?
I think it's worth it if Crane is Ascendant, right? Because I think Yoshi is so potent. And
if he goes off, you just lose.
I think it's good versus Dragon, to be honest. I think
very good versus Dragon. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, being able to deny Sumiko is pretty good.
And even just the +2 is enough often to save a province against Dragon. Like, a lot of Dragon players have reduced their Bonsai count to like 1 or 2, and they're relying on like sort of more minimal buffs. Yeah, static buffs. Yeah. Okay, so we've seen a charge to win the conflict. I think it's fine to spend the charge there. If you lose it, the Void goes off in the reverse direction because of defend the wall. So I think it's okay to spend the charge there.
Now, there's no fate left, so Csonti can't play a reprieve, or at least he can't play his own reprieve. He's got options to play a reprieve from Jokingly's.
Is this a little bit of an overstep here? Like, you've left no defense, you got no fate, and he's got enough skill to break. Plus, he's doing Earth, which gets him favor, and because of the Keeper. And if he manages to pluck your rebuild, you're kind of fucked. Well, not fucked, but you're a little bit more of a precarious position.
Csonti had little bit of overconfidence here, and he's revealed his neck to Jokingly, and Jokingly's got to go in for the strike here, right? Like,
He's done the absolute correct conflict. He has to go for Earth.
oh yeah.
And then what we might see is a shift to 1 bids from the next turn, which will, if Csonti doesn't have the rebuild in his hand, it's going to make it less likely he sees it in future. So we'll see if that plays out that way.
So I think 1 bids or low bids. Like it seems like a.
Well, he's bid 2. He's bid 2 the last 2 turns in a row, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair call.
Maybe he bids 2 again. Okay, he gets rid of the Fate Worse than Death, which is decent. I think he'd prefer to see a rebuild or a reprieve if you're Jokingly, yeah.
Yeah. I think with this gameplay we're seeing is sometimes if things are looking dire, I know that you were close to calling the game earlier on there, but sometimes I think you just gotta
tough it out.
Panic. Don't panic. Like,
so we want to see.
You've got the grindiest deck in the world, right? Like, so much save.
We want to see Funeral Pyre on this defender. Yeah, there he goes.
And Csonti, are we gonna? It looks like he's gonna. I mean, he's still maintain a substantial board. He's still got 3 folk.
I want to see him get rid of this Pyre because he's got 2 Witch Hunters as well that are sacrifice hungry, and it's just not going to happen for you this turn, man. Yep. You need to get rid of that Pyre. Yeah, I mean the board has kind of equalized a bit. It's pretty amazing what happens when that free Casada that came out turn 1 finally leaves play. Just how much of a parity swing it is.
And Steadfast are obviously extraordinarily strong characters. So having 2 in play has let him swing back hard.
Yeah, apart from that Casada as well.
He keeps.
It's kind of he keeps the Pyre. I don't like that.
He's keen. Oh, so we've got the Mirror Satoshi for the Mirror Karada district.
Yeah, so he really wants to go and fetch. I think he's almost certainly going to play this character, right?
Yep. So I mean, Casada's back. We've got another Crisis Breaker as well.
Casada is back, baby.
I think we might see the Crisis Breaker being played here. I think we're not necessarily going to see we are seeing a hard cast of Casada.
So we've
0 Fate.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it. It's a strong effect. So we've got 2 Imperial cards in play or in the discard right now. Do we know how many Jokingly's running? I think he's got Karada, 2 more Satoshis. He's probably got 5. So we got 1 bids. 1 to 1. Yeah, I would have definitely lost that Pyre.
3 Satoshis. I think he just likes it so much. There's 3 Satoshis. There's 1 Imperial Storehouse, which is already gone.
Yep. And then the Karada
district and the Palace. And the Palace is gone too, right?
The Palace is still in his deck. So he's got 6.
Palace is still in his deck, sorry.
6 cards. 6 cards seems about right.
Yep. So your guess was correct. Your prediction 1-1, and this is probably likely to be a trend for most of the rest of the game, right?
I think once it's 8 to 5 honor, and you've got to watch Commander in play, it almost has to be, just because you're going to be like there are no ways to gain honor for these decks apart from Shameful Display, really.
Yep.
Because airing is going to be a neutral trade or a loss, and fire's always going to be you're going to be dishonoring rather than honoring unless you're doing it to Satoshi. Joe says it was nice flip Satoshi. I agree. It's pretty important to try and recover some of this discrepancy. So one cool thing with the Pyre and this Steadfast, if you can guarantee the Earth Ring, you can sack the Keeper Initiate to the Witch Hunter and then win the Earth conflict and bring 2 more in and then sack one of them for Pyre.
Yeah.
And he's going for air. So Csonti's recognizing this game's going to take a little longer. It's important to stay afloat, and I don't see a problem with this. Void would have been acceptable too. The air had 1 fate on it, so maybe he wanted the fate, and it was between that and fire.
Yeah, having a fate having the difference between 0 fate and 1 fate is quite large.
Yeah, fate definitely has diminishing returns, doesn't it? Like the difference between 0 and 1 is much larger than 1 and 2, and so on up until whenever.
So who are you defending with here? I mean, what's your game plan? Like,
This is pretty brutal. I don't think this is a
This-
conflict. If I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, man, this is going to be hard to win.
yeah,
I mean, you defend
Yeah,
with
for
everyone. You defend with everyone. You use the pyre on the initiate to cancel Kisada, and then you use your stronghold. I don't know.
Favor, so even if you defend with everyone and you use your box, was that 10, 12, 13, 16 military force?
You still got to cancel Kisada, and they've got a Gunzo.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if he's got, so
Oh,
he spent 2 charges, so it's unlikely he's got the 3rd charge, especially with the 1 bid.
Mhm.
Okay, and then we see another Watch Commander.
Getting the advantage of the attachment that you can play that without worrying about Casada.
Yes, that's a good point. So this is going to be interesting. How much do these players want to commit into this conflict, and how much honor are they going to be willing to lose? Because right now, it's 5-7, and the defender's slightly ahead.
They've both got watch commanders, right? So
They've both got watch
Yes.
commanders.
tick for tat, tit for tat.
And we see the Gunso. Okay, so he's back in the lead.
Joe, who's commenting potentially from Cincinnati, has suggested that Satoshi might be a really good way of just getting rid of, just triggering Casada's ability,
Yeah, that is a fair point.
and that's what Jokingly's done.
Nice.
Yeah,
Smart plays, and then you
Sweet.
save the card, you save the honor from the opposing watch commander, and use your box.
sweet play.
That's just something that I didn't even consider because I don't play Satoshi. I just don't like the card. Although Jay and I trialed Satoshi and Crab long ago, like when Pack 5 came out, I think, and it was good to fetch Karada.
Yeah.
So are you aware how Crab did in the Paris Kotai? I didn't really see the stats too much on Crab. I know it looked like Crane sort of filled out the majority of the 6 and 1s.
But on the second day, Scorpion made a really good showing. They were like almost vacant on day.
Yeah,
day
they had
one.
51 players day 2, which was like close to a quarter of the field.
Yeah.
Okay, so we see the stronghold go off, and it's a pass. So he is going to get this one, and that's going to turn off Kisada for the rest of the turn. It's going to protect this iron mine, and he's also going to get to claim the air ring because of defend the wall, which is pretty sweet. So that was a big success for Jokingly. Pretty impressed with his play. Like, it was pretty awesome.
It's just really.
Joe's saying 3 made it with 2 challenges. Top Crab's playing his Discord League deck. Sweet. Is that Scorpion Splash, Joe? I didn't see your list this season. Another Meek Informants. This is the 3rd time that poor old Jokingly's had to reveal his hand. Mountain, which was there from the start. Reprieve, ready for battle. I mean, a lot of these cards are kind of... I mean, the Reprieve's live now, right? Rebuild's good.
I do like. Yeah, absolutely.
Way of the
It's a
Crab
very
is going to hurt this turn if he can pull it off somehow.
I think Csonti. I really like this deck design from Csonti, because he's really made, or he or her, I don't know who Csonti is, but since he's really made a good like card knowledge, like knowledge of the opponent's hand is a theme here with both the Meek Informants and the policy debates. There's like 5 ways of seeing the opponent's hand. So understanding what's in the opponent's hand is pretty huge, right? It can really make your choices a lot simpler.
Yep. I actually, as a mechanic, I despise hand reveals. I reckon it's the most poisonous thing to card games of all time. So that's my opinion on it.
I totally agree. But as it stands, unfortunately, that it's in the game.
When I saw Meek Informant, I think that was first pack or second pack. I saw the spoiler there. I'm just like, okay, they've just jumped the shark. That was my reaction.
Yeah,
crazy strong mechanic. Okay, so that was very good. Very, very good for Jokingly. Interesting, he's going for water. I guess it kind of makes sense. He wants to ready up Satoshi, have him as a defender if need be.
Yeah.
Earth would have also been decent because you get 2 keepers into play. and then you can use one of the other steadfasts to ready. Actually, I think Earth's probably better. So he doesn't have any other pumps, so it's just going to be a pass, right?
Yeah.
Kind of unfortunate he's one skill away from breaking that province. I think Earth would have just been a better ring, right? You get a better effect, you get to get 2 keepers, you still get to ready a person.
Which you can then utilize with the funeral pyre.
Yeah. And now you open the door for your opponent to take Earth and get a keeper in.
Maybe slight misstep there.
Yeah, I would have definitely gone for Earth personally, but maybe there's something I'm not seeing here. In these games, they go on for so long. There are so many decision points that even the most well-adapted players make frequent errors. And when you've got a whole stream of people analyzing the play, like it's really hard to beat a stream, you know, as one person. Joe's saying, I don't think he's able to win Earth on offense. Yeah, that's fair enough, but do you think, what are the benefits of going water though? Because like the Earth still, okay, he's past his conflict opportunity. So, okay, I guess one reason is if you want to do Earth first conflict, the next turn you get a fate off it, which is something. And a lot of you guys are going to have no fate on them. So water's going to be a premium next turn. So maybe he's trying to deny his opponent a bit of fate. Makes a bit of sense. Okay, and we see a fire conflict, which is only ever good in Crab when there are Satoshis in play, which there are.
There's 2 of them.
Plus, the fate's actually getting quite tight in this match, so it makes sense. And he's defended with. So we do know he has a court games, right? So he can court games his own Satoshi here and equalize this discrepancy. Yes, he does have a court games in hand. And he does honor him. Something of note here is that Csonti's down to 3 honor, which is quite costly.
So jokingly, he's really making a strong comeback. He's got like multiple avenues of victory to pursue now.
I think it's almost certainly off the backs of these Witch Hunters and also just avoiding that second reprieve for the Casada. If Casada had stayed around into turn 3, I think the game is completely over.
Yeah.
He's done really well. I think being able to, I think at one point he had like a 6 or 7 fate discrepancy. Being able to equalize that through ring effects and just careful play is just, it's a mark of a talented player, right? Like if you're behind by 6 or 7 fate in most games, you're going to get poleaxed. What's up, Grody? Crab on crab, yeah, baby. Yeah, Grody, I was part of that chat in Lion Chat, and I definitely think they're tier 2. I think they're the second worst clan. But they have very high variance, which means they can beat the best clan on any given day. And so I think people's ability to assess the power level of Lion aren't very good, because it's really hard to assess high variance archetypes for their power, just by the nature of what high variance does to assessing those sorts of things. But I do think they're probably the second worst or third worst clan. Oh, way of the crab. Boom.
Yeah. So this board has got a massive trim. Had a big haircut. There's 3 people on the board now.
That was just... I think that's just the correct decision. Mop up that Satoshi. Get rid of that 4 political.
Yep.
And he's won the fire ring, so he's dropped his honor to 2. And just getting rid of a defender when you're trying to get unopposed honor loss is really pretty important as well. So I like the decision. I think it's fair.
Now, are we going to see no, funeral pyre remains?
The pyre...
I think that funeral pyre is going to be there.
I think it's been used once in this...
But it could be used more. Oh, we see the first iron mine for Csonti.
Yeah, that's he does. I think it is fair enough. Like his opening draw was good. This is a great flip now, though, right? That's like a perfect flip for him.
But I mean,
might be a little
the
late.
Iron Mine is like, what are you using that on? I mean, I guess if Kasada gets voided, but if you're playing Witch Hunter, you're presumably going to be playing the Witch Hunter with a little bit of fate.
It's pretty sad that it flipped up on the broken province, the one broken province.
Yeah.
The other thing about high variance factions, just continuing on from the chat, is even if you're above curve, because of the nature of having a high variance deck, in a situation like a Kotai where you can only drop one game, if you have a swingy deck, you're going to drop 2 games. Even if you're well above the curve, right? Even if your win rate's 60% against the field, or 65%, like you're just a god deck. If you have very high variance, you're going to drop 2 games and you're not going to make the cut. So, it's pretty tough. Alright, so...
2 Kasadas on the table.
2 Kasadas.
2 Steadfast. Almost a mirror board, except that Satoshi with the Watch Commander is probably a little bit more valuable than the Kaio Envoy.
Yep. We want to see a Way of the Crab here for Csonti.
What? Way of the Crab with Kaio Envoy at the moment is...
How many Way of the Crabs is he running?
I think he's only running 1. Let's have a look.
What do you think about that, Joe? 1 Way of the Crab in a crab deck.
2.
2, okay. 2 is reasonable.
Jokingly, he's got 1.
God,
which
man.
You've seen.
And he had it at the right time, that's for sure. I don't know, man. I think, look, it's not as good against Scorpion, right? But it's against a lot of other decks. It's a great card.
Yeah, but it sounds like Jokingly designed his deck to farm Scorpions.
Yeah, he felt like he could navigate these matchups that were sort of a little more even through his player skill and then equalize the discrepancy against Scorp with his build, which I like. Yeah, so he's had 3 turns on Pi and he's used it once, I believe. It's also one of the considerations for keeping the province around is if Shuichi or a Heated Guardian pops up or a Shurisuki and you don't have another holding and you want to use their effect. But I believe there was at least one turn where there was another holding. Okay, so when there's Kasada on Kasada action like this, I like to imagine that one of them's got like a different coloured skin, like in the old Street Fighter games.
Blue Ryu versus Red Ryu.
Yeah. Okay, so jokingly he's used me as Satoshi. So he's announcing that he has a card he wants to play, right? By using me as Satoshi's ability, he wants to play something in this conflict. And
intending to take this province.
Court games on the Envoy. Oh no! So that court games is to prevent
honor death, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the airing that's contested.
Hang on a sec. Hasn't he just killed himself? He's played the court games. It's an air conflict.
Yeah. It's an air conflict.
Oh man!
Unless he's got a way of. Has he used his Way of the Crab?
Well, he's just got policy debate and he didn't have one.
Oh, so I think that's Csonti has just lost this game, right?
Well, that is a lesson for me in calling games early, guys, because I called that game on turn 2.
Yeah, GG. Yeah. GG. Bang.
What a swing! What a comeback! Well played.
Just never panicked. Never surrendered, never retreated. The call of doom was made early by my co-commentator, but doom did not come. It was victory for Jokingly.
That was an entertaining match, actually, because it's always a worry when you're commentating or streaming a game, and it seems a bit one-sided, because you want a bit of a spectacle, usually. But that was very impressive. I think the Watch Commanders, actually... You know what? There was that one turn where Csonti neglected to account for defending his Karada province for Jokingly's second conflict. I think really hurt him.
And I think LVP, least valuable player, was that damn funeral player. Just discarded. He won despite the funeral player.
Yeah.
Oh, gee, Csonti in chat is saying I was at 1. Whoops. Oh, well.
Is he just taking the piss, or did he actually miscount?
Who knows? Who knows? Very exciting.
All right. Well, hey,
there's still
thank
a
you
few
guys for
crabs left
watching.
in the, there's still some crabs left
in the chat.
Apart from the challenge. Well, for Paris tonight, well, later on, in a bunch of hours' time, in like, it'll kick off in only a few hours' time, like 2.5, 3 hours' time. We will see, there is still, what have we got? Apart from the challenger, we have, like, not many crabs. Like 1, 2 crabs. So there's 3 crabs.
3 crabs, yeah. Joe was saying he plays 3-way the crabs. I'm on your side on that one, Joe. That card is so devastating and damaging and such a threat that I would not play less than 3, personally.
I've been on the receiving end of it a few times, but I mean, look, jokingly is definitely a very experienced crab player. So he's kind of carved his deck a specific way. And the same like Csonti has had a good run. You know, top 32 is very, very hard to get to.
Very respectable.
Tournaments.
Yep, I'm in my first top 32 after 3 tries, so it is tough.
Yep. So
well played to both
Csonti,
guys.
Your Jigaku Global Discord journey ends now. But,
so
we'll see
are we gonna
season.
do like a little troll stream later for the Paris thing? Or are we just gonna like watch it ourselves? What do you want to do, man?
I think we watch ourselves. It's not cool to compete against others, but we might put out some tweets or something.
Yeah, sweet. Thanks
cool,
to
guys.
you guys for watching. It was a pleasure to cast. This was just a last minute thrown together cast, but Simcoff and I are always in the mood to cast games. So if you guys have any requests or whatever, just message me on Discord, and check back in later for more L5R. So thank you, Simcoff.
Thanks, bros.
All right, so that's Toridori over and out.